I lost everything in the divorce, my kids, my mansion, and every last belonging. All I had left was my late mother's old countryside house. Defeated, I went there to disappear for a while. While cleaning, I stumbled upon a hidden safe. The code was my birthday. Inside was a letter from my mother that began, "If you're reading this, it's time you learned the truth. I'm Miranda, 34 years old, and I'm standing in the ashes of what used to be my life. The divorce took everything, my mansion, my children, my entire sense of self. I sat in that courtroom, my best dress clinging to me like a lie, watching Richard's lawyer flash a smug grin as Judge Morrison signed the papers. Full custody to him because I, apparently, had no means to support Emma and Tyler. Powerless doesn't even begin to describe it. The weight of 10 years crushed me as I sat there. The prenup I signed at 24, a ghost I'd forgotten. Where are you hearing this from today? Drop your location below, and if you've ever felt your world slip through your fingers, hit that like and subscribe. You'll want to stick around for what happened next. 10 years. I gave Richard everything, managed our home, raised our kids, orchestrated his glittering business dinners, convinced I was building something with him. What a fool. The prenup haunted me, its fine print a noose I didn't see tightening. Mrs. Hartwell, Judge Morrison's voice sliced through my days. Given your lack of employment history and financial situation, the court finds it in the children's best interests to remain with their father. Emma's face flashed in my mind, my 8-year-old, her braids my morning ritual, Tyler, Shect who only calmed from nightmares in my arms. I opened my mouth to protest, but my attorney's hand on my arm silenced me. Final. Done. Richard painted me as a frivolous housewife, a leech on his wealth, ignoring my economics degree, my sacrificed career. Leaving the courthouse felt like walking through a graveyard, my decade-long identity buried in that room. Our social circle, those polished wives, would cluck their tongues now. Poor Miranda should have seen it coming. No one would help. That's not how our world worked. In the parking lot, Richard was already buckling Emma and Tyler into his BMW. Emma's tear-streaked face pressed against the window. Tyler, too young to grasp why Mommy couldn't come home, stared blankly. I mouthed, "I love you" to Emma, but Richard's car peeled away before she could respond. Alone, clutching the keys to my old Honda, the one thing he couldn't take, I realized I had one place left. Mom's country house, inherited 3 years ago, a rundown Victorian we never visited because Richard deemed it a worthless shack. The 2-hour drive through winding mountain roads was a blur of grief and dread. When I pulled into the overgrown driveway, my heart sank deeper. Peeling paint, crooked shutters, weeds choking the porch. This was my fresh start? A dilapidated relic, but mine. Richard's name wasn't on the deed. For the first time in months, I held something he couldn't touch. My suitcase, pathetically light, carried the scraps of my former life. The key worked, thank God. Inside, dust and memories choked the air. Mom's furniture, draped in sheets, stood like ghosts of happier days. The electricity flickered, the water ran brown before clearing. In Mom's kitchen, the weight of starting over at 34 with $1,200 to my name hit like a tidal wave. That first night, I cried myself to sleep on her old couch, wrapped in a quilt she'd sewn before I was born, its faded stitches a fragile tether to the past. Morning brought clarity, or maybe it was the silence. No Richard criticizing my coffee, no kids squabbling, no schedule suffocating me. For the first time in years, I could think. 2 choices, collapse or rebuild. As sunlight filtered through Mom's lace curtains, I chose to fight, not knowing Mom had already armed me for this war. I woke with a plan, or at least its skeleton. First, make this house livable. Second, find a job. Third, prove to that judge I could give Emma and Tyler a stable home. Simple, right? I'd clearly never rebuilt a life from nothing. The furnace groaned to life after some hammering and whispered prayers. YouTube taught me to fix the leaky kitchen faucet. Dollar store cleaning supplies became my arsenal against years of neglect. 3 days in, Mrs. Henderson, the neighbor, appeared with a tuna noodle casserole that smelled like salvation. "Your mother loved this," she said, sitting at Mom's table as I tried not to inhale the food. "She was proud of you, you know. Always talked about your economics degree, how you got her head for numbers." I stirred my plate, avoiding her eyes. "Haven't used it in 10 years. Richard said I was more valuable at home." Mrs. Henderson's face hardened. "Your mother never liked him. Said he took credit for other people's sunshine." The truth of it hit like a slap. How had Mom seen what I missed? Her words stirred something. I'd graduated summa cum laude, landed a job at a financial planning firm, had a future, until Richard convinced me family meant abandoning ambition. The children need their mother, he'd said. We can afford it. Translation: he needed a free assistant. That afternoon, I drove to town, desperation outweighing pride. Job prospects were grim. Most wanted recent experience I didn't have. The few openings paid barely enough for gas, let alone a custody case. Try the bank, Carol at the employment office suggested. Part-time. Not much money. Not much was better than nothing. At Mountain View Community Bank, Patricia Walsh, the manager, eyed my resume skeptically. 10 years out of the workforce is a long time. I leaned forward, voice raw. I can start immediately, work any hours. I learn fast, and I need this. Something in my desperation, or maybe my honesty, shifted her gaze. Tell me about your economics background. For 20 minutes, we dove into market analysis, investments, financial planning. I surprised myself, the knowledge still there, dormant but alive. 3 days a week, $15 an hour, Patricia offered. Trial period. Help with accounts and loans. If it works, we'll talk more responsibility. It wasn't Richard's 6 figures, but it felt like a lifeline. Back home, I called Emma's school. Mr. Hartwell enrolled them at Riverside Academy, the secretary said. Of course, private school, 40 minutes away, where he could control my access. That night, on Mom's porch, I crunched numbers. Even with the job, legal fees would drain my savings. Richard had trapped me in a system built to keep me down. Then I noticed something odd, a patch of siding under the porch light, newer than the rest. Old houses have secrets, I thought, too tired to investigate. Tomorrow I'd start my job, take my first step toward my kids. It wasn't much, but it was mine. My first day at the bank was a whirlwind. In my one good suit, I felt like an imposter, but helping a young couple with a home loan sparked something. Explaining debt-to-income ratios, interest calculations, I was good at this. The husband's gratitude, you made it make sense, lit a fire I'd forgotten. Patricia noticed, you're a natural. Ever thought about financial advisor certification? The idea took root. This could be more than survival. After work, I stopped at the grocery store. The clerk, a teenager with purple hair, grinned. You're Miranda, Mrs. Foster's daughter. She always bought fancy chocolate, business magazines. Said she was keeping up for when you needed her. Mom, a librarian reading business magazines? It didn't add up. Back home, I investigated that odd sighting. With a crowbar from Mom's shed, I pried it loose, revealing a hidden door. Inside, a metal safe. My heart raced. Mom's birthday didn't open it, nor mine. Then I remembered her lucky number, her and Dad's wedding date, August 23rd. I entered 80823. Click. Inside an envelope with my name in Mom's handwriting, stock certificates, bond records, jewelry boxes. The letter began, My dearest Miranda, if you're reading this, you've found your way home and discovered what I've saved for you. My hands shook. Mom and Dad weren't just librarians and teachers. They'd built a fortune, stocks, bonds, properties, hidden to teach me hard work, not entitlement. They saw Richard's control, Mom writing, I hoped you'd find your strength. When you didn't, I knew you'd need resources he couldn't touch. Assets worth over $2 million, an insurance policy for $3.7 million, a key to a safety deposit box. Mom had outplayed Richard decades before I saw his game. The bank box held more, rental properties, mineral rights, business plans. Mom's foresight overwhelmed me. I wasn't helpless. I had power. I liquidated assets, paid off the house's mortgage, upgraded it, opened secret accounts. I enrolled in a financial advisor certification program, leveraging Mom's records and my degree. Supervised visits with Emma and Tyler were agonizing. Emma's confusion, Tyler's withdrawal, but I documented everything, building my case. 3 months in, Patricia offered a promotion. Clients loved me. My portfolio grew 12%. Richard's taunts, you're too emotional for business, crumbled. I bought Mom's office building, turning it into my financial planning practice. Emma's teacher noted her improvement, validating my impact. At night, I reread Mom's letter. Your power comes from understanding your worth. She was right. The custody hearing, a year after the divorce, was my turning point. Sarah presented my transformation, job, certifications, home, portfolio. Richard's shock as my $4 million net worth was revealed was almost comical. His lawyer's accusations, sudden wealth, unfit mother, fell apart against Mom's documented inheritance. Judge Morrison granted me primary custody, a phased transition to minimize disruption. Richard's harassment followed, anonymous calls to clients, fake foreclosure notices, but my community rallied. I confronted him with his own secrets, questionable donations tied to municipal contracts. "Stop, or this goes public," I said. He backed down. 2 years later, my firm spans 3 towns, employs 12, serves a growing client base. Emma and Tyler thrive, their afternoons spent in my office, part of our life. I declined acquisition offers, valuing independence. Emma's pride in my work, Tyler's trust after nightmares, these are my true victories. Mom's letter, now framed in my office, reminds me daily. You have everything you need. I'm not just a mother or businesswoman. I'm Miranda, who lost everything and built something better, proving my worth to myself and my children. The real battle was never against Richard. It was against my own doubt, and I won.